So not so funny. Funny story is that I have already recorded this video, but all entirely at the wrong angle. So here we are, second go. Let's do it. I have also made some technical upgrades, so hopefully it does not look like I am recording this with a potato from now on. Since we are all new here, my name's Alexis. I'm on my second year of penetration testing. I've been in the IT cybersecurity industry for almost 4 years, so I'm still a baby. I make videos to help other people who are also new in the industry that might need a little bit of guidance or a few tips here or there on how to break into cybersecurity or get the dream job that they've always hoped for.
One, two, three.
Today, we'll be talking about cybersecurity certifications. They can seem very intimidating, very nerve wracking, but I promise you, if you are prepared and you know what you are up against, you can get them done. Here in the cybersecurity industry, certifications are kind of looked at as a semi equivalent to maybe having a degree or having certain experience. It's kind of just a credential to prove that you know what you're talking about and what you're doing when it comes to a certain niche, a certain topic in cybersecurity, something that you're able to say, hey, I can mess with this stuff. I know what I'm talking about, and here's the proof. When I was starting out kind of my own career path, I knew that certifications were going to be a part of that career plan and how I would kind of heighten myself to a level that would get me to a job that I wanted to be at. And certifications were new to me because I had only ever taken tests in a school atmosphere. It was required. I knew exactly what to study, and I had someone along the way kind of helping me on how to gauge how well I would do on the exam based off of like practice exams or just reviews in general. However, certifications are intimidating because you're literally doing self learning. You choose your own study path, and you also determine when and where you take the exam and what exams that you're choosing to take. So it's all a kind of big mystery of, am I making the right choice? Am I fully prepared? Am I going to completely bomb this test? I get it. It's terrifying. Luckily, being completely new, I have been through 10 different certifications in the last 3 years. So I have compiled some tips and tricks that I think might help you if you're going against any kind of general cybersecurity certification this year, next year, or sometime in the future. Certifications come in so many different types that sometimes it's best to always do your research on whatever one that you have decided on to take. There are all different kinds of skill levels when it comes to certifications. So make sure that you're taking one that is on the skill level that you feel that you embody the most. And then there's also kind of two different categories. So there's technical, so more like multi choice answered questions. And then there's also practical, which is more hands on. And those tend to last, sometimes 24 hours to 5 days to a week. They're kind of like a marathon of an exam for your hands on skills. In my last video, I briefly went over certification roadmaps or map ways that you can use. They're online, and you can basically go to what kind of subdivision in cybersecurity that you either work in or aspire to work in. And there's different levels of experience in certifications in each category. So it kind of guides you as you move up to an expert, a master, a wizard of sorts. My best advice would be to pick certifications that you see are sought out on LinkedIn or maybe with an organization that you want to work for, something that you hear of being taken often, maybe in group chats or Discord groups that you're a part of. Definitely do some research ahead of time and make sure that that certification is still relevant, still sought after, and that it's also within your budget. These things can get very expensive. And although there are scholarships and other factors that may help you financially pay for them, paying for it out of pocket and then failing is an absolute financial Tearjerker. I would know. So you've chosen what certification you want to take, or a few, maybe you've got some lined up. How do you prepare? How I study for a practical test and a technical test are two completely different worlds. So I'm going to go over each one and tips and tricks I have for each, and you can take them with what you will. Studying for technical tests is a little bit more boring than studying for practical tests, but that's just my own opinion. Basically, I will go through kind of different study options from cheapest to most expensive, with the cheapest being, of course, youtube.com. There are a ton of amazing cybersecurity professionals on YouTube that go through all kinds of different certification material. Things like A plus, Network plus, Security plus, YouTube was my go to. I would watch Jason Dion, Mike Myers, Professor Messer, all kinds of different people to learn some of the basic things that they knew were going to be on the exam because they were following through the exam domain information. Also free, but sometimes sketchy and may contain malware, so be careful, is free online practice tests. I took a ton of these. I would take a million of them, and had time allowed it, I would have taken them probably until the end of time. I'm an over preparer, so that is what I do. But some of these practice tests really helped. Some of them had particular and almost identical questions that were on the exam that I potentially may not have gotten the correct answer to had I not seen that practice test and gone through it already. Any answers I would get wrong, I would write down as flashcards, which is another free, semi-free option is flashcards. They really help with harder topics that maybe you just need to memorize to get through because honestly, a lot of memorization goes into some of these technical tests and eventually you'll work with something or that protocol or that method down the line and that memorization will come back and it'll all kind of click for you, the whole mechanics behind it all. The next kind of middle ground as far as expenses go for studying materials is I would always get a physical book. There are plenty of books. You can even find them in like Barnes and Noble, Amazon, places like that, that will go over all the material for a certain version of a certification because there are different versions. So just make sure that you're studying up or looking at all the topics that will be on the version that you plan to take. Super important. Most of the information is not that far off. They just maybe added some things or took some things away here or there. But it's always good to have an updated list, which you could always generally find what's going to be on the exam on the website or within the material given to you by whomever you're taking the certification through. And then there's also Udemy. Udemy does a lot of really cool lessons that can go over certification material. I've used Udemy for almost every single one of my CompTIA certification exams. It's been super helpful. There's also generally sometimes practice tests, so make sure that before you purchase a course, see if it provides practice exams because like I said, those are super essential kind of gauging where you are in your study journey before you take the exam. The last option, which it tends to be the most expensive, is buying the studying material that's provided by the certification organization. So I know CompTIA does this. They have like a master class for their certifications. I've never been able to afford it. I have always studied the freeway because I was a bartender and did not live on a salary until a couple years ago. So that is not something that was in my that was an option for me. So that is available and it really gives you the straightforward, pure from the source information. So if you are super, super nervous and you have the available budget, I mean, it definitely can't hurt. I know there's videos, super close, realistic practice tests, and they can't really stray you wrong because I mean, they made the material in the exam. So let's hope that everything is top notch. Studying for practicals is can be somewhat similar. For this, I would definitely recommend getting any lab time, any material that the certification organization is offering because it can really sometimes show you the way the exam is going to go. It generally kind of mirrors it in a way. They're never exactly identical, but it's nice to see and like get a feel for a little practice of what you're going to experience when you're on the crunch time of taking a practical exam. There's also labs through Try Hack Me or Hack the Box or other sources, I'm sure. I'm more on the offensive side, so that's where I've always found the best resources for practical exams I've taken, such as the PNPT by the Cyber Mentor and also CRTO1 by Zero Point Security. I would do a couple of extra labs. I always bought extra lab time for my exam, and those things really made a big difference when it came to taking the exam, to starting my clock and getting things done. So you've chosen your exam, you've made a study plan, you've executed it flawlessly. You are completely filled with knowledge and ready to go. And it's test day. So here's a couple tips that I have for both practical and technical that I would recommend. Take it or leave it. Technical test day. I'm going to use CompTIA as an example here, just because it's a well-known exam that a lot of people find themselves taking at least one CompTIA test, exam certification, what have you. So I'm going to go over what I do the day of testing and when I'm in the testing room because I take them in person. I will arrive early to the testing center. Always, always, always. One, you never know where you're going all the time. And two, I like to bring notebooks or flashcards or notes in general of things that I maybe wasn't getting correct on the practice test that I was taking. I will go over them and kind of just store that knowledge in my RAM, if you will, so that if I get into that test, hopefully within the next hour, 2 hours, however long it takes me to take that exam, that is still kind of fresh in my mind so that I can at least almost fake get through those questions of topics that maybe just did not sit right, bored me to death, what have you. When you get in there for a technical exam, a majority of it, especially for the CompTIA, is going to be multi choice answer questions. They do have a couple practical questions, and generally, I've always seen them right at the smack dab start of the exam. My recommendation is skip those practical questions. They are going to randomly throw you off if you do not know them 100% already. So skip them because you're just going to scramble your brain right at the start of testing, and it's easier to get to the multiple choice answered questions. Start with the multiple choice. You're able to flag and pass questions, and then you can revisit them at the end when your brain has already been through a couple of different challenges that maybe aren't making your brain think as much as a practical question. For practical exams, this is tough because I never follow these rules, but these are the things I think of now when I'm taking more and more practical tests because these tend to be either a day long, days long, what have you. And sometimes you don't get time factored in for sleeping, but you definitely should be sleeping. I did not my first practical exam. I also did not pass. So if that tells you anything, get some sleep. It's going to be very exciting, very all over the place. Just remind yourself all of the things you went through in the labs. Generally, you have access to the material when you're taking a practical exam. Go back, revisit it, look at a lab again. Don't force things. If you're spending more than an hour trying to do an attack, it's probably not the one you're supposed to do. They make these tests so that you're able to execute the things that you've studied, that they've provided to you in the labs. All of those activities should make sense. I know that's short and sweet for practical, but they're all so different that it's really hard to give precise advice on how to prepare or do well in general. So if there's any practicals that I've taken that you guys want me to go over, I can definitely do that and hopefully in a more timely manner down the road. If you take anything away from this video, let it be this, that I never allow myself more than 3 months within a study plan for a certification, tops, to prepare for a certification. If I can't learn all of the material or feel confident in it in that amount of time, then I'm taking the wrong certification and I need to rethink my game plan. What you're not going to do is pick a certification, build a study plan, and start studying. What you are going to do is pick a certification, build a study plan, decide on a timeline, tops 3 months, and then less than that if maybe you know more about the topic or you feel super confident, reel that time in. But what you're going to do next is book the exam. I know this is terrifying to say, and I hate it every single time I do it, but the point is that you're going to pick your certification, pick your study plan and start studying. Other things are going to come up. You're going to maybe lose confidence in your knowledge or abilities, and you're not going to take that certification. I did it a couple of times with certifications that I've passed now, but I think I studied for a year and a half for the Network Plus for absolutely no reason. We're also going to have a come to Jesus, and I'm going to let you in on a not so secret. We have all failed a certification. If you haven't, I applaud you. But I've failed numerous certifications and had to retake them. It's okay. It's okay. We are learning, we are evolving. And just because you fail something once does not mean you ultimately have failed it. Because if I had that attitude, I would not be doing what I do today. So, even if you go in there and you fail it, there are often exams that will let you take a retake for less money. Not all of them are that kind, but have that kind of as a game plan in the back of your head just in case. But I know you are going to do great and you're going to pass. So do what you can, prepare, use what resources make the most sense to you and your wallet. And I will see you out there. Thank you for letting me yap at you.